Hello, everybody. Are you ready to start today our webinar meeting? Good afternoon from Albania. Dear guests, colleagues, pastoralists, representatives, partners, and friends from across the Western Balkans and beyond. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the Western Balkan region gathering lunch webinar on pastoralists and pastoralism at Crossroads. Thank you for joining us today for this important regional dialogue under the framework of the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists 2026, declared by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Today's webinar is not only a discussion forum, it is also the official opening of the Western Balkans regional gathering of pastoralists. The process and events that will continue from 30 May onward. This webinar marks the beginning of a broader regional effort to bring pastoralist voices, knowledge systems, and policy concerns into the center of sustainable development, biodiversity conservation, and climate resilience discussion in our region. Pastoralism in the Western Balkans is deeply connected to our mountains, landscapes, cultures, and histories. For centuries, shepherds and pastoral communities have managed transhumance systems that support ecological balance, local economies, and cultural identity. Yet today, these communities stand at crossroads. They face growing pressures from land, climate change, shrinking grazing areas, restrictive conservation approaches, weak market systems, demographic decline, and the erosion of traditional knowledge. At the same time, pastoralists remain among the most experienced stewards of rangelands and biodiversity-rich ecosystems. Their knowledge and practice are essential for building strong futures. And policymakers. Together, we hope to strengthen regional cooperation and contribute toward the shared roadmap for the future of pastoralism in the Western Balkans, including the development of a Western Balkan Declaration of Pastoralists. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Philip, who will moderate today's full webinar session and guide us through the next 3 hours of discussion, exchange, and dialogue. Thank you very much for your attention. Dear Philip, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Professor Luigi. Professor Dr. Luigi Turmala is professor at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, Agriculture, University of Tirana. He is also a board member of the Grassroots Institute Western Balkan and regional coordinator of academic networking and veterinary service of the Western Balkan Regional Gathering. Hello everyone to this webinar. My name is Philippe Bertinchamp. I'm a journalist. I'm working for the independent French outlet Le Courrier des Balkans. Thank you all for taking part in this particularly rich and diverse webinar. Immediately, I will give the floor to our friend, Dr. Petrit Dobby. Dr. Petrit Dobby, you are former associate professor at the agricultural faculty, University of Tirana. You are executive director of the Rural Association Support Program and regional coordinator for municipalities and institutional mobilization within the WBRG. Your work focuses on rural development, pastoralism, and mountain communities in the Western Balkans. Now, dear Dr. Petrit, you have the floor for an introduction to this International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists 2026, and also what is the Western Balkan Regional Gathering of Pastoralists.
Thank you, Philippe. Distinguished guests, dear pastoralists, friends of mountains, colleagues and partners. We are gathered here today not simply for a meeting, but for something deeper, a shared recognition of people, land, tradition and living connections between them. The International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists 2026 is more than a global initiative. It's a long-awaited acknowledgement of the communities who live close to nature and depends on it every day. People who follow the seasons, move with the land, and understand its balance in ways that modern life is gradually forgetting. Pastoralists are among the oldest stewards of the land. They are not only producers of food, but also caretakers of landscapes, biodiversity, and cultural heritage. Their knowledge is not written only in books, but carried through experience, memory, and generation of practice. In the Western Balkans, pastoralism is part of who we are. It lives in our mountains, in our local breeds, in our traditional products, and in the rhythm of rural life shaped over centuries. It lives in the movement between summer and winter pastures, in the small mountain settlements and traditions, weather, grasslands, animals, and water. But we must also speak honestly. These systems are under growing pressure. Rural areas are losing people. Climate change is affecting pastures and water resources. Traditional knowledge is weakening, while many young people are leaving mountain areas in search of other opportunities. This is why this gathering matters. Pastoralism is not only a memory of the past, it's also part of the future. Rangelands are not empty lands, they are living ecosystems. Traditional knowledge is not outdated, it remains essential for resilience and sustainability today. The International Year 2026 invites us to listen again to the mountains, to the land, to the people who are cared for them for generation, who have cared for them for generation. It calls on us to build bridges between science and tradition, between policy and community, and between younger generations and ancestral knowledge. It's also a call to support women and young people in pastoral areas and to ensure that mountain life remains a real opportunity for the future and not only a memory of the past. This Western Balkan regional gathering is more than an event. It's a space for dialogue, cooperation and shared commitment across our region, across borders, but with common landscapes, common challenges and common responsibilities. Let us work together so the future generations will know pastoralism not only through photographs and stories, but as a living, respected and evolving way of life that continues to shape our mountains, our communities and our identity. Thank you for being part of this important moment. And may the spirit of our rangelands continue to unite us, inspire us and guide us forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Petrit. We can start now with our first panel, Pastoralists and Pastoralism at Crossroads. We have 7 panels. As a moderator, I would kindly ask all the speakers, please, to keep as much as possible to their allocated speaking time. Thank you very much. We are now welcoming Dr. Pablo Dominguez, environmental anthropology senior researcher at CNRS in France, affiliated with the Laboratoire Eco-Anthropologie at the Musée de l'Homme in Paris, and associate researcher institution in Barcelona and Aix-Marseille. Through a transdisciplinary approach, you focus on the community governance of pastoral resources in Morocco's High Atlas, the mountains of northeastern Andalusia, and the Dinaric Alps, Montenegro. Today, you will speak about economic marginalization of shepherds and hostile marks. Please, Dr. Pablo Dominguez, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Merci, Monsieur Jean. Thank you very much, Hasrat Arjuman, for presenting and inviting me. Dr. Tourmalai, I would like to share a screen. So I'm gonna try now, hoping this will start. Present the economic margin. I have not specific work on the topic, but I have things to comment about, and I will take the case of Sinjavina in Montenegro, one of the largest mountain pastoral lands in Europe, in the Balkans and in Europe. Together with dormitory, makes up to 1,000 square kilometers at above 1,600 meters high, more or less, and reaching up to 2,500 in the top of the dormitory massif. This is in Montenegro, in the heart of the country. They call the north. It's a surface as big as 5% of the country's national surface, and it has been said to have the potential to feed the entire country of Montenegro in dairy products, and 60% in meat needs. Nevertheless, it is today at 10% or less of its production potential. And in Montenegro, we're buying cheese from Slovenia and Germany. So I think this example goes pretty well into the topic we've been asked to address today. This is the territory, looking at it a little bit closer. As you can see, it's managed by different pastoral commons. It's divided in little pieces, like a cake, and pieces are around these dots. These are the certified one. It's not an easy job. It's a very inaccessible area. There's no roads inside of it. So commercialization is very tough. And it's mainly sold just in the nearby villages and markets. Most of the production, they just walk down, sell it in the weekly market, and they go back up. But we're talking about extraordinary products. Let me get this down. That are, of the highest quality and locally sold at, for example, kaymak cheese, skorup, how it's called locally, which is a very creamy early young cheese, almost fluid, a sort of burrata kind of creamy cheese. Is sold at the prices of 25 euros a kilo. And this is very, very high in the Montenegrin context, where salaries are at around 300 or 400, in the cities 500 euros per month as mean salary. In the mountains, it's even lower. So this is products with an extraordinary potential, also a famous sheep ham that they produce, but completely unknown to the outer markets. So in the until the 60s, here you have again the territory of Signaviña. It is, as you can see, it's like a little hole in the forest. So this area and the one next to it is another big pastoral common. So they're free of forest, like you see in the other picture. So it is because of pastoralism, thousands of years old practice that has established a biodiversity that has co-evolved with local races and practices. And coming back to the production and the sales, until the 60s, there was in the former Yugoslavia socialist regime, there was a push for industrialization in the country, as you know, and in many countries of the East Bloc before. And a lot of collectivization also. Cooperatives were built, but they were not pushed forward as much as in neighboring Albania, where this was much more intense and dramatic. In Yugoslavia, they pushed off a bit early when they saw that this was not working from the 50s, late 50s. And still, there was some constant effort to support the local production. This is in Sinjavina and in all Montenegrin mountains and Serbian Bosnian mountains and Croatian, the Dinarid. For example, establishing a canal of milk production that would go directly up from the grasslands to a tube down several hundreds of meters lower down to be collected in order to recuperate that production of milk that was going on in the highlands, and then down in cooperatives producing cheese and delivered to the whole national market that at the time in the 1950s, 60s became a new immense horizon for these people that had never reached to sell their products as far as Belgrade, Novi Sad, and other areas of Yugoslavia, Zagreb, etc., urban centers. So this is the type of thing that we used to see that broke down in the late 80s when Yugoslavia fell down, and there was basically a strong rural exodus to the cities and out of Montenegro, and marketing fell. And like I was saying before, today in the area we're seeing mostly tourists come. For example, this very touristic area in summer for hiking and outdoor sports. And we are seeing, like I said, the Slovenian and German cheeses being sold in the supermarket, where from the window of it you can see the cottages of the shepherds where they're making cheese. And meaning the government of Montenegro is making no promotion almost whatsoever in the same doors or in the same territory where these cheeses are being produced. And the tourists that are coming are not even being able to get hold of this unless they, through some local actors. But this is an example of, the problems that we see all around the Balkans happening over and over, and that has, in a way, to be communicated and changed. Then we need to think how this has to be changed. So another example we have is from Spain, where I'll stop sharing because I can't find the. Another case is from Spain, where we have, for example, production of a very good local race, a Segureña sheep, that it's recognized for its culinary values and healthy advices around this meat that is lower fat and a certain aspects that are very favorable, and which is produced ecologically all year round, and has subventions linked to it, and it's certified as ecologic. And after 3 to 6 months of feeding the animals, they end up being put together for fattening with another far away from these mountains into other cabins, industrial production, where they're mixed with other sheep that have not had any feeding in the mountains, in the commons, in ecologic context, etc., and sold in the supermarkets in the shelves with any other sheep. So this is something that the governments, I mean, meaning in the EU and out of the EU, and I'm sure this is going on all around the world, you're just missing an opportunity to reinforce people who are bringing, and with this I'm concluding and finishing because I reached the 10 minutes, are missing outstanding chance to support the people who are taking care of these landscapes that are providing so many ecosystem services that are, well, I don't need to, the list is immense, you all know many of the items I could cite in this sense. So question is, what are the governments waiting, including the EU, to wake up to this reality where we're speaking of maybe half of the world's surface, an immense surface in Europe, an immense production. We're talking about a multi-millionaire business. So the EU is interested in production and economy, which sometimes seems is what matters to it. They should care for this also. It's not only a question of dignity, it's not only a question of cultural heritage or environmental protection, it's a question also of economy of our countries. So what the hell are we doing buying stuff that produces badly of hundreds of kilometers away when we got in front of our noses the best meat, the best cheeses, and the best products we can find ever around in our lives? Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Dr. Pablo Dominguez. Now, we are pleased to welcome Nukila Evanti, Indonesian activist, community leader, and founder of the Women Working Group. Her work connects food sovereignty, land rights, climate justice, and women's participation in public policy, with a strong focus on indigenous knowledge and local communities. She will speak about infringing land rights and restricted livestock mobility. Nukila Evanti, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philip. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nukila from Indonesia. Currently is 7:25 minutes here in Jakarta. And I would like to share my PPT if I can. Okay. I hope I can. Can you see it?
Yes.
So I'm not from the specific areas regarding pastoralists or issues like agriculture or farming or something like that. But in my daily activities, I'm dealing with the issue of land grabbing, land concession, impacted to the farmer as well as the fisher folk, something like that. So I would like to bring the title regarding the impacts of land grabbing on livestock farming. So we in Indonesia we do not recognize the concept or the terminology regarding pastoralists, but we use the terminology like nomadic livestock farming practice, which are generally practiced by duck and beef cattle farmer. So this farmer, they move in search of green fodder or crop residues, and then this pattern is often found in rural areas, also coastal areas, and traditional scale plantation areas. So a farmer herd hundred of ducks from one newly harvested rice field to another. The ducks feed on rice crop and snail pest, and duck dropping also fertilize the soil belong by the farmers. This is the way they works. So this marginal, I call it this marginal farmer, save on large scale livestock farming with very cheap feed costs. This is why they do this. And utilizing grass, grass. How do you call it? Grass field land, or in remaining oil palm plantation areas in rotation. So this is the way that they practice livestock farming. And the location are really only on particular area. Indonesia has 5 big islands, 70,900, if I'm not mistaken, islands, small islands. And they're mostly this nomadic livestock farming. They're located in areas like in East Java, East Nusa Tenggara, and West Nusa Tenggara, and Kalimantan. So this is the way I can show you how the duck farmer bring the duck into the container, like this, moving from another place to other place. And then, okay, land grabbing. Why this is happening? Because Indonesia is in developing countries. There are so many industry coming to our land, like energy, infrastructure, and then like tourism, something like that. And then wildlife conservationists, they call it like that. I don't know how they use wildlife conservationists while they're taking farmer land. So this is the way that they this large scale plantation, large scale business, the control of land by private parties or elites, we call it like that, or the government, which often displace small farmer and livestock breeders. This is the way that they use, and they never talk or have a concern from the livestock farmer in this regard, because they said, oh, this livestock farmer, they don't have the land certificate or something like that. So mostly these livestock farmers are also belonging of the indigenous people as well. So this is the way the land grabbing coming to the farmer and livestock farming. And this is kind of land grabbing impacts, since the livestock farmers are categorized as the marginalized, because sometimes they don't have proper adequate houses, and also they are not really well educated, and they just sometimes they illiterate, and they cannot read the contract or something like that. So the impact somehow really double, make them how do you call that one? Make them become vulnerable. So the impacts that I can mention is threaten livestock mobility by blocking or restricting traditional migration routes. Why? Because mostly these nomadic farmers, they use like the traditional routes, like from one mountain to the paddy field, something like that. And then it also triggers agrarian conflict, because what? Because some of the farmer, they don't have the land certificate, right? They just lived there for a long time ago, from their ancestor. So this is trigger agrarian conflict between the farmers with the businesses or with the local government. And third, it hampers pastoralist adaptation strategies or nomadic farmers adaptation strategies. And then it often forced nomadic pastoralist community to settle, ultimately undermining their livelihood, their space. And then it's also impacted to the environment, like for instance, the water become contaminated, soil destruction or something like that. Yeah? And it's also become created more poor people, because these livestock farmers, they as I told you, they don't have the good education, they don't have the house, proper house or adequate houses. They live with their local wisdom, yeah? With their traditional knowledge. And then okay, this I think my presentation is quite short. So what are the solutions? Because for the, I think not only Indonesia, but I think also part of the world, how we can strengthen the legal framework, right, to enforce principles such as pre, prior, and informed consent, or FPIC. They don't know this terminology, I believe, but how we can facilitate the traditional farmers or pastoralists with the knowledge regarding if there is any project or development or infrastructure coming to their place, and then they have to give their consent, right, to the businesses, to the project or something like that. It's very important because most of the case that I handle in my community, yeah, they don't know about the project coming to their place, yeah. And then the second one is policies that acknowledge the cultural, social, and ecological significance of land, yeah, of land, agriculture, farming, or something like that. Because sometimes in some country, I believe there is no recognition of the identity, for instance, for the indigenous communities. I just want to give some example. And then they don't give the space for those who don't. They just talk about legalistic, right? But they don't really protect those the nomadic farmer like this, because it's they consider this is the we just need to help them on for instance on their children, something like that. But they never think about the government, particularly never think about the this livelihood, yeah, this the space, the 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 proud, yeah, the proud of them, because they have done this for a long time ago. This is the tradition for the livestock farmer. And the last one is very important to facilitate the aspiration of pastoralists and nomadic farmers, because as I told you, because this is there is no forum, yeah, no forum. Sometimes on the policy or the program projects, it's always top down, without taking into account what are the needs, yeah, of the livestock farmer. For instance, they need the cakes. For instance, they need the the clean water, something like that. Yeah, clean water. They need like a school for their children, for instance. So this is the way. This is very important. Yeah, some of the financial institution, yeah, a world global institution, they come to the one of the this my only my case, yeah, the place, and then they don't really know about the situation on the ground. So that thing, that's all my presentation. I thanks to all for all of you for your attention. Thank you so much. Over to you,
Thank you
Philip.
very much. Thank you very much, Nukila. Now I will give the floor to Petrit, Dr. Petrit. We are going to see you again, and you will speak now about a very important issue, which is climate change pressures on ecosystem and water resources affecting graziers. Please, Petrit, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philippe. So I'm sharing now my presentation. Is it okay? Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So as we mentioned before, Luigi.
Yes, it is visible.
Uh, so we are talking, raising concern about situation that are affecting pastoralist life. So we are trying to identify problems, sensitize people, uh, find some solutions, suggest solutions to authorities, and make some actions. And one of factors that affects more pastoralism life is climate change. So, of course, we have heard a lot on climate change, rise of temperature, etc., etc. But this is not something that regards only climate. It's not just a fashion. It's a real threat to pastoralism. So for generations, graziers have depended on healthy pastures, reliable water resources, stable seasonal cycles, and in this way, the systems, natural systems, have supported for a long time their life are changing. So, in one way or another, climate change is not longer any environment issue. It's also livelihood issue, and is a social issue. It's a cultural, and is economic issue. It's very important for their life. So, pastoral grazing systems are supporting millions of people all over the world. So they provide food, they provide cultural identity, environmental stewardship. So graziers are very connected with the nature. They are their work depends on healthy grasslands, depends on functional ecosystems, access to water. So when these systems declines, the water becomes scarce, pastoral livelihoods become more and more difficult and vulnerable. So climate change is now accelerating these problems, accelerating these pressures. And if we are talking about trends, climate change, we mentioned some of the main factors, that is rising temperatures, changing uh, rainfall patterns, more frequent droughts and heat waves. But uh, if we go deeper, we may understand that we don't have only just higher temperature, but this humidity temperature index is getting higher, bringing more problems to animals. Now we have not only higher temperatures some days, but we have more days with high temperature. So more days that are stressful for animals. Also, we have very long drought periods. Does mean poor pastures, less food for animals. We have more extreme weather cases. That in both cases, very long dry periods or very intense rains are damaging pastoralists. So this climate seasonal patterns, let's say, that communities are relied for decades are become less predictable. Summers are hotter and dry. We have more intensive rainfall that can cause floods, can damage infrastructure, etc., etc. So, in one way or another, the balances of rangelands have are changing, and all these are directly affecting the way of living of pastoralism. Does mean that we have more pressure on ecosystems, more pressure on water resources, more pressure on biodiversity. In one way or another, the pastoralists are this group of people that are directly affected by climate change. So we have pressure on ecosystems. What is happening with ecosystems? Normally, we see that we have losing vegetable cover in some areas because of dry periods. We are losing the productivity of pastures, especially in some critical moments. Also, we have some soil erosion and desertification of some areas. But also, we are losing biodiversity. We are losing biodiversity of plants, but also we are losing the biodiversity of insects that are pollinators and other animals. And all this, in one way or another, is affecting ecosystems when the animals are grazing every day. We have seasonal changes, so we have earlier drying pastures, we have shorter grazing periods. Sometimes we have changed routes of transhumance routes. So a lot of things are changing in ecosystems, and of course this directly affects pastoralism. We have pressure on water resources. Water is coming, let's say, one of the greatest challenges in pastoralism. So we have drying springs and streams, reduced river flows, declining groundwater availability. So in some cases, we have problems with water quality because we have salinity increased. We have damage to water infrastructure sometimes because of these very intensive rains. So in one way or another, water that has been one of main resources of animal production in pastoral areas now are becoming a problem. So now are facing really real problems, and I'll give an example later on effects of diminishing or reduction of water resources in pastoral areas. So the impact of climate change on pastoral communities is very complex now because having worse pastures, we have lower livestock productivity, but also we have health problems with animals because of heat stress. They are more vulnerable. We have more cases of disease, spreading disease. Even new diseases are coming in some areas. Of course, we are losing because of changing the way we adapt to the systems. We are losing also some of traditions that are linked with this way of living. But also we have increased cost of the food to find food and to find waters. More investments are required by pastoralism, etc., etc. So the problem is more complex, and I'll give an example. In Albania, in north, is a karstic plain. You see on the picture in the right, it's completely karstic plain. Disappears in lime rocks. So we have very limited water resources. Before there were some investments, there were some water ponds using this karstic sinkholes, these sinkholes. And the situation was okay at the time. So 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe 20, 25 years ago, there were 20,000 goats in this area. And now are only 5,000. What does mean? Does mean that we have less pressure, you mean, on pastures? No, it's not true. The situation is becoming more complex because we have less rainfall during the summer. Water ponds are empty in August. So the people are trying to graze their animals close to villages, close to water ponds, remaining water ponds, and the other part is undergrazed. So we have one part of the pasture of this area is overgrazed, and the other part is undergrazed. So we are damaging also the landscape, but also we are damaging ecosystems because you know, but what does mean to overgraze one area and to undergraze the other area. So this is becoming really a problem, and this area, these farmers have a great opportunity because they are producing a special meat, goat kid meat that is registered as GI. But because of these difficulties, even the price is very good, they cannot increase the number of animals. Is one area that is still keeping the same number, let's say, with 5 or 10 years ago, but the capacity of this area is much higher. So this is an example of real problems caused by climate change. Of course, we don't expect climate to change again and to adapt adapt to our requirements. But we have to do something. So for this reason, we have to probably suggest some policies. Pastoral communities cannot face this kind of climate change alone. So we have to fight, to have some supporting policies, to have stronger institutions, government institutions, in support of pastoralism. So we need, let's say, better pastoral governance. We need investment in infrastructure. We need climate adaptation programs. We need veterinary and extension service to be more present in this area. And we need support for young people to stay there, not to abandon these areas. So pastoralists should not be viewed as a backward system, but as important part of sustainable land management and food systems. So they are not people who are just working for themselves. They are working to preserve the nature that is for all of us. They are working there to produce products, especially these traditional local products that are for all of us, not only for them. So for this reason, the interest in support to pastoralism should be much higher than it is actually. So as a conclusion, I may say that climate change is intensifying pressures on ecosystems and resources, water resources. Graziers are among the most vulnerable groups. Healthy rangelands and water systems are essential for resilience. Integrated actions is needed from communities, institutions, and policymakers. So with this picture of a young guy pasturing in these mountains, I hope we'll give some more hope to all pastoralists all over the world, but especially in Balkan areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Patrick. This is very nice. All these issues are really interesting, but unfortunately, I hear there is an echo. Is it okay when I talk? Do you hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
All right, good. But unfortunately, the time is only 10 minutes. So I'm going to give now the word to Professor Letizia Bindi. You are Professor of Cultural Anthropology at the University of Molise in Italy, Director of the Biocult Research Center and member of the Accademia dei Giorgio... I'm not sure to say it well. Yes, thank you. Your research focuses on pastoralism, transhumance, environmental anthropology, and social cultural regeneration in rural and mountain areas. You will speak now about cultural erosion and the loss of transhumance practices. Please, Dr. Bindi.
So nice to meet. Many thanks for having invited me to this meeting and this important webinar, and many thanks for the hour because we have been working a lot on this topic as Center Biocult, Biocultural Heritage and Local Development, that I'm directing since 2015, and I keep continuing doing this in the last 10 years. What I decided to deep in my presentation is some reflection about pastoral landscape at risk and transhumance, biocultural heritage, and new extractivism. So I would like to begin from sort of paradox that has become increasingly evident in my research over the last few years. Pastoralism is often celebrated as a heritage, precisely when pastoral lives are becoming more fragile, more precarious, and more difficult to sustain. This is a central tension I would like to address today across Europe and especially in Italian Apennines, where I have conducted long-term ethnographic research. Pastoral landscapes are increasingly valued as cultural landscape, as ecological resources, as tourist destination, as symbols of authenticity and sustainability. At the same time, the people who make this landscape possible, shepherds, herders, breeders, families, local communities, are often pushed to the margins of economic, political, and environmental decision-making. So my argument for today is quite simple, but strong too. Without shepherd, there is no pastoral heritage, but we have to think, how can we safeguard and make sure and take care of pastoral heritage and pastoral actors? There may be routes, festival, maps, brand, museums, slow tourism itineraries, and beautiful images of transhumance, but without living pastoral communities, without animals, mobility, labor, land access, and intergenerational transmission, pastoral heritage becomes only an image in itself.
Letizia, we can't see your slide, the left side of the slide. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, it is changing right now. In this sense, I think we need to move beyond a nostalgic or folkloric understanding of transhumance.
No, we still can't see. Letizia, we still can't see.
You cannot see? You can at all?
Now we can see. Now we can see.
Oh, okay. So you are continue to see? Are you seeing? No?
The Word file is opening before the PowerPoint actually.
Are you seeing? Can you PowerPoint maybe, Azrat? Maybe it's better. And I'm going to speak. Can you?
Yeah, we can see the presentation, but the Word file is in front of the PowerPoint presentation.
I don't know.
It seems to be very clear to me. Yeah.
Are you seeing or not? I don't understand. Someone say yes, others say no.
We see your presentation.
For me, this is Gabriel. I'm actually seeing from Africa. I'm seeing your presentation, and I'm also hearing your voice as well.
Yes, we see your presentation. The problem is that we see the text is overlapping the presentation.
Okay. So yes. I understand. So I have to move the text.
Yes.
So I leave the text.
Yes,
so,
yes. So now it's clear. Yes.
Maybe it's better. So I'm going to, but this is disturbing me because I'm not understanding why it's not possible to share. By the way, sorry. So I need now to just a moment because I have to stop the presentation, and I'm going to I don't know why this problem, and sorry. Maybe you can move to another presentation and I'm going to come back after, as you like.
Or maybe somebody can show your presentation while you are reading your notes. I don't know if it's possible, if Dr. Asrat can do that.
Yeah, I think it's better. I have the time to change a bit the organization of my desktop, and I'm coming back. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Visible?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Asrat. Yeah, a bit bigger as it was. Yes. Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Yes. Dr. Bindi, do you see it? Is it all right for you?
Yes, I see.
So we can keep on going.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Perfect. So I'm going to resume my presentation. So are you seeing correctly the presentation now?
Yes, yes.
So nonetheless, I don't see I don't see the presentation at all. We are where we are.
A central argument.
Okay, perfect. I resume from this. So in this sense, I think we need to move beyond a nostalgic or folkloric understanding of transhumance. And transhumance is not only simply survival from the past, not only a ritual performance, nor a picturesque rural memory, complex, but more a form of territorial governance based on mobility, seasonal knowledge, negotiated access to land, animal care, ecological observation. This is why I like to speak of transhumance as a form of ecological intelligence. It is an intelligence that does not separate nature and culture, humans and animals, economy and environment. It is built through practice, through walking, grazing, waiting, observing, remembering, adapting. It is knowledge of roots, grasses and slope, water, weather, and animal behavior. So next. In this sense, seasonal mobility has shaped mountain and rural ecosystems for centuries. The movement of flocks and herds has contributed to maintain open landscapes and grassland, biodiversity, ecological corridors, and forms of settlement. And the pastoral routes are not just lines on a map, but they are archives of relationships. They connect mountains and plains, summer and winter pasture, human and animal, and so on. And in this sense, the landscape of transhumance is not simply a scenery, but a living infrastructure. It is also a good example of what we may call a biocultural landscape, in a sense that the landscape produced through the long coevolution of human practices, animal life and vegetation, climate, water, and so on. And they are co-producers of the landscape together with shepherd, dogs, path, pasture, plants, and communities. This is particularly important today to highlight in the context of climate change and environmental crisis. Extensive pastoralism can contribute to biodiversity conservation, fire prevention, soil maintenance, the control of invasive vegetation, and the regeneration of fragile agroecosystem. But this is only happens if pastoralism remains a living practice, not only a heritage label. Ahead. My ethnographic work in the Italian Apennines has shown this tension very clearly. These are territory, population, in communities, abandoned, post-earthquake fragility, fragmented commons, bureaucratic pressure, and difficult generational renewal. In many places, pastoralism survives, but it survives under increasingly complex conditions. The Apennines are also territories where memory loss and regeneration are strongly intertwined. After the earthquakes in central Italy, for example, routes, walks, and reenactments of transhumance become ways to reconnect people with places. Projects such as Cammino delle Terre Mutate, the experience around Amatrice, or other form of community-based regeneration show that walking and doing pastoralism is something that has cooperated with the regeneration process. But here we must be careful. Re-evocation is ambivalent. It can be powerful because it asks what has been lost, what remains, what can return, but it can also become a substitute for living practice. A transhumance without animals, for example, without shepherds in some cases, without grazing rights, without work, and without local benefit risks, becoming only a cultural performance. This is where ethnography becomes essential. Ethnography helps us to listen to the different voices within communities, to understand conflicts, expectations, inequalities. It reminds us that community is not a simple and homogeneous word. Ahead, please. This leads us to the paradox of contemporary pastoralism that I have said before. On the one hand, biodiversity value of pastoral landscape is increasingly recognized. We are facing this in this year particularly. Transhumance is included in heritage frameworks. Pastoral routes become part of sustainable tourism projects. Local products, cheese, meat, wool, and so on, are associated with authenticity and quality. Mountain landscape are promoted as fragile, beautiful, and resilient. On the other hand, shepherd livelihood continue to decline. The work remain hard, poorly recognized, and often economically unsustainable. Bureaucratic regulation increases. Access to pasture can become difficult. Commons are fragmented or contested. Labor is precarious. Younger generation often do not see the presence of large carnivores. We have vulnerability. Predation is a real issue, but behind it, there are also deeper problems of labor, infrastructure, compensation, trust, and question the relationship between nature conservation